Okay, guys, we are going to do today's trade review. Today is 2/10/2025. We had two trades today. One trade went about 20 points in profit. I was able to scale a couple micros out, and then the rest of it was stopped. And then the second trade, we took a full stop loss on it. So really wasn't the greatest day. Upset with the performance that I had today. But that is part of trading. As long as we manage risk and we keep the losses small, that's what's going to keep us in the game the longest. So I want to go through why I was looking for a short setup on that first trade setup of the day. So price is sitting inside of this 1 hour fair value gap here. We almost tap into CE of the gap. And at the same time, I'm looking at all these clean lows down here. We haven't even taken Asia. We haven't taken London. Midnight's down there. So my idea is to take a trade up and from the 1 hour fair value gap, grab London, Asia lows, possibly fill this gap, and then look for higher into these relative equal highs up here. Okay, so that was my idea coming into the session. And if we drop down onto a 1 minute time frame, this is what I was looking for. So we end up leaving all of these relative equal lows down here, which is going to be my first draw on liquidity for the day. And then I was waiting for an inverted fair value gap on this 1 minute fair value gap here. So I was waiting for the price to invert that to the downside, which was going to be my confirmation to go ahead and take a short into these lows here first, and then possibly draw even lower if we were going to go ahead and do that to the London lows and Asia lows all the way down here. But first target was going to be at these relative equal lows here that the market left behind. So that was the idea. We have a nice sweep of liquidity here. Okay, so we have our buy stops getting swept. Okay, so we have a nice manipulation leg. And then it's all about just waiting for an inverted fair value gap here. So if we replay price, we can see that we get a really nice displacement leg through that 1 minute fair value gap. I look for an entry on the retouch of the gap here. Okay, so that's my idea. This is now an inverted fair value gap. Okay, I have a clean draw on liquidity down here. I have my manipulation leg, which we took into this high, which also coincides with a 1 hour fair value gap right up into here. So I really like this trade setup. I'm trying to look at it and figure out what went wrong with it. But if I see this 9 out of 10 times, I'm probably taking the same trade, no matter what. And that's just a part of trading. Sometimes the setup's going to work and sometimes it's not going to work. So yeah, there was a lot to like here. I would have been upset if I was taking this short and I didn't have any relative equal lows or a draw on liquidity whatsoever. But in hindsight, maybe looking back, we needed to probably flip this gap to the downside for it really to confirm that then we can start looking for lower. And it just turns out that the market inverts this fair value gap here, and this one gets us stopped out right there. So, well, the trade ended up going about 20 points in profit. So you guys could have scaled something off of this trade. So we did go 20 points in profit. I was able to get a couple micros off. It wasn't anything crazy. And then the rest got stopped at break even on this trade. I think overall on this trade, I was actually just around a positive 50 on the day. And whatever, on to the next trade, right? Market bounced from this 1 minute fair value gap, and we just didn't get the displacement through that second gap, and the market goes higher and we get stopped out there. So that was the first trade of the day. I'm really not too angry about it, but looking back at it now during this trade review, I think it would have been a lot safer to wait for this bottom gap to get flipped before looking for shorts. And sometimes that's just we just got to journal it and we got to get better at it. But I really like this trade setup. I mean, we have buy stops getting swept here again into a 1 hour fair value gap. We have relative equal lows down here. We have a really nice displacement leg. We We get a retouch of the inversion, and then we even displace 20 more points, and the market just holds inside of this fair value gap here, and we end up getting stopped out. So tough trade. Anyway, we'll move on to the next one. Okay, the second trade of the day was on the S&P 500, and we were looking for longs into the buy side liquidity at 6094. So we're building up a lot of liquidity up into here. We have a lot of low resistance liquidity that I'm looking to draw into after tapping into a 15-minute fair value gap here. So market is bullish at the open, right? Pulls back into a 15-minute gap, holds really nicely. Okay, so the idea here was I was looking for an inverted fair value gap right here to confirm, and we had SMT inside of a 15-minute gap with the NASDAQ. So this was looking very solid. Let me just play this out here. So we get an inversion, right? Inversion's clean. I take an entry on the inversion. So I'm already in on the inversion right here. I'm just looking at my fill. So yeah, so I have stops at the bottom of where we had SMT in the 15-minute time frame. And this trade moves, right into profit at 82, and we're already up about 3 points here. And the market just decides that it wants to go lower off of this here. So SMT inside the 15-minute time frame. Okay. 5-minute fair value gap down here, 15-minute fair value gap down here as well. So there is, a lot to like that we're going to hold for higher here. And the SMT really was, for me, like that extra confirmation. Not to mention we had a nice little order block resting here inside the 15-minute gap. So I really didn't, I'm looking back at both trades today. I really can't be too mad at myself. I mean, I think the first trade, I would execute that trade 9 out of 10 times. This trade, let me see, so we ended up inverting this fair value gap, right? Like here's our entry, inverted fair value gap. Okay. Looking back on this, I think the thing that I should have waited for was one more sweep of liquidity down into this low here. So looking back to see how I can improve upon my trading, it would have made sense for this sweep right here to happen. Okay. So yeah, we end up getting stopped out here, guys. I took a full stop on this, which, sucks, but part of trading, right? Now, looking back on this now, we take this liquidity at the low. Okay. So now we have, sell stop orders being triggered here. A lot of liquidity being put into the market. 15-minute fair value gap is still holding. Okay. And the market just wants to rip lower below that 15-minute gap. And at this point, it's really, really, really dicey as to me trying to want to take a long here. Because now we're below a 15-minute fair value gap, right? And price is starting to look pretty bearish. And I just want to see how I could have traded this differently. So yeah, I mean, we could have waited for a liquidity sweep deeper into the gap. This price action right here was just a little wonky, honestly. This is really, really, really kind of tough for me to read on this trade in the afternoon. I probably should have waited for, like I said, more liquidity to be swept here. The SMT was kind of a false signal. And then we have a nice 1-minute inverted fair value gap now. So now price is starting to show signs that it may want to reverse from here. Okay. And then we have another inverted fair value gap there. So now like structure to me looks a lot better here. So it's just a matter of us. We were just early. Like the bias is here ends up playing out to the upside, but we were early inside of this area here. Okay. And I'm just trying to figure out why the market wanted to fully go down here. I mean, is there anything that I missed on this 1 hour time frame? Yeah, this is just a tricky one, guys. Sometimes there's going to be just tricky price action. And, you know, a day like today when we're inside of just no news Mondays, price tends to kind of be a little wonky. So I really don't think I could have read this. I don't think I would have predicted that the market wanted to come down below this 15-minute gap here, actually invert the 15-minute gap and then move higher. So yeah, this is just an L. This is just early, right idea. We were looking for higher. Market just wanted more liquidity down to that downside, fills the 15-minute, the full 15-minute fair value gap. And then we start getting really nice displacement back up to the upside from here. So, yeah, not the greatest trading day, but, it's really important that we get back to the charts and we get to the journaling and we figure out what went wrong, how we could improve upon it, and, you know, get better from there. Like, we're basically have to picture yourself as being an athlete and going over film at the end of the day. And if you're not doing that consistently, then you're going to always make just, you know, the same mistakes over and over again. So, you know, from what I'm learning from this data right here, how to improve upon it, is I can't always trust an SMT just because there's SMT there. I really would have liked to seen better structure form here. Even though we did have a really nice inverted fair value gap with really nice displacement to the upside, the market just wasn't ready, didn't have enough orders. It wanted to grab more liquidity to finally make that move higher. So just I need to add a little bit more patience in. I'm not really too upset with my trading today. Like I said, the first trade I've taken 9 out of 10 times. This trade probably wasn't the cleanest trade. Now looking back at it, like the structure inside of here does not look like it looks here. Like this is bullish structure. You can see like we inverted a fair value gap, right? Came back up, tested the inversion, then had another small inversion inside of here. Okay, so now we're like actually, you know, we're actually inverting like multiple fair value gaps to the upside. Okay, so we're disrespecting bearish PD arrays and starting to make waves higher. So like here, yes, we had the inversion, and this is just tricky price action here, guys. That's just part of trading. So, you know, we take it on the chin, we move on to the next day, journal it, review it, and yeah, man, we'll be back the rest of the week and looking to crush it. So I hope you guys are gaining value out of these market reviews. It's, you know, like I said, imperative that you guys get out into the charts, mark up what happened, figure out what went wrong so we don't make those mistakes again. All right, guys, have a blessed evening. I'll see you in the next one.